We wanted to make a game that was focused on all the cool things in real life that we love about racing.
To be a successful racing driver, it takes massive commitment, lots of dedication. You have to be focused, you have to be, dedicated to going as fast as you can as a driver and then working as a team player at the same time.
The atmosphere is amazing. What you're doing is just incredible. Just the adrenaline going through your veins is just like something unreal.
It's aggression and rivalries and sure crashes, and all of those things are what I think sets our game apart. We've tried to create a world of motorsport in Grid, and that has a vast array of different types of racing. In Europe we have touring cars, we have endurance racing at Le Mans, we have open wheel racing. Classic motorsport for us.
The base of the Le Mans 24-hour race really is to stay out of the pit lane.
You just got to race for 24 hours and the guy that, does the most laps in 24 hours wins.
You fill your car full of fuel every hour, you put some tyres on it, and you go out and the driver stays out for that hour, comes back in and you put some more tyres on and some fuel in it and send it again.
It's just a fantastic event. It's got 350,000 people there. There's 55 cars on the grid. So you always have to have a mental approach of endurance is key, but speed is also important.
With the real tracks like Le Mans, like Spa, Nürburgring, Jarama, we research them scrupulously before we build them, and we try and make sure that they're pretty much correct down to the last placement of a rumble strip.
I was staggered at the realism of this game. I've just been around Le Mans, and it's every braking point, every reference point I have to go around the circuit is there.
You've got a 9-mile circuit which is predominantly all on roads. You pass the Chinese down the Mulsanne Strait with the blue neon lights, and
you've even got the Ferris wheel that you've got when you come back up to the pit lane. Use that as a reference point, but that's there on the game.
From the start we wanted to make sure that all the AI drivers in the game felt human. They can't feel just like automatons behind the wheel. Each of them has a set of driving skills that determine how well they take corners, how well they brake, technical things like that, but also they have personalities in that they can be aggressive, they can be cautious. And sure, we've tried to engineer those situations into every race where maybe you have to think twice about clipping someone's bumper. Damage is a huge thing for us. It's a huge part of real-world motorsport. It has to be a part of a game about motorsport. Getting it right is crucial. The balance between realism and gameplay has to be maintained. And I think we've kind of hit that.
Even the cockpit layout is very similar. You've got all the buttons I press to talk to the team and change different maps and stuff on the steering wheel is the same. When
you race with a teammate in the same race, you'll hear them over the pit radio. They all have individual personalities, which you'll grow to love or hate, depending on their abilities.
To have that, on a computer game in as detailed fashion as that gives people who might not have the opportunity to drive around it themselves some sort of feeling of what it's like for us.
There's a real variety of things to do in Grid. There's not one single type of motorsport that you'll get caught up in. The US and Japan offer us completely different things. The US is all about street racing, it's about powerful muscle cars. 1974 Boss Mustang, which is just a cool car. It's the first car you get in the game. Actually, you spend the first money you earn restoring it. And it's street circuits based in real cities with real street plans like Detroit, San Francisco, Long Beach. Japan is different in that we've gone for hinting at its more illegal or illicit Motorsport Roots is all about drift, it's about toge, it's racing on mountain roads and racing in docklands. Wherever you go in the world, it will seem like real travel, you'll be racing in a very different environment. I think that's what gives the game its variety.
Rally car and also Formula One all time involve who crosses the finishing line first. That's all about. But drifting, all about the style, because we're judging the style of the drifting.
It's a completely different discipline, and you have to be highly skilled in that area to do it.
I'm main judge of the European Drift Championship, and also I'm manager of Team Orange, which is one of the finest drifting team in the world. I think that's one of the dream, driving around Shibuya, because I've been many times, and that's one of my favorite places. Shibuya is normally 300 people crossing the road on the same time, and even I dreamed about it, drifting around Shibuya. The graphic is fantastic, and that's one of my favorite cars. Also, that's the Team Orange cars, I should say. Also, I can actually feel traction of the car, which is amazing. Because normally in the race car, they're set up for the understeer. Visually, you can analyze what you're doing, how much understeer you get. But oversteer, you must feel, because if you see oversteer in your eyes, that's too late. Somehow, you can actually feel the traction of the car. That's just really amazing. It's so that's the awesome crowd's reaction when I get there, when I hit the wall, and they're scared and they're running around. So it's fantastic.
Before Le Mans this year, I could go and do 20 or 30 laps, and I get in the car at Le Mans, and it's going to be slightly more familiar to me because this game's so lifelike.
The AI, proper racer, they're not just there to take over, they actually really give you a race.
One of them really took the back end of my car and slammed me into the wall.
It shows what you can do with the 360 and PS3 and PC as well.
The next time around it was like, okay, I'm taking this a bit more serious.
I set out to create an exciting, action-packed, adrenaline-fueled racing experience. I think we've done that.
Definitely all about the racing. I love that part.
And that's probably the bit that we enjoy the most. I think they call it adrenaline.
Hi, my name is Ralph Fulton. I'm the Chief Designer on Grid, and I'm here to tell you a little bit about what you can expect from the game when it comes out this summer. Grid is a racing game which is actually about racing. In developing it, we've been focusing on everything which can happen between the starting grid and the checkered flag in order to create the most exciting race experience possible. We've chosen 45 of the best racing cars ever built for this game, and our selection criteria has been pretty strict. First of all, we're only interested in racing cars. Secondly, each of them has to have something about them which makes them the best at what they were built to do. Crashes and car damage are an important part of racing, so they have to play an important part in a game about racing. That's why we've spent the last year refining our car damage and deformation systems in Grid. The engine behind the game is an evolved version of the engine which powered Dirt. It's called the Ego engine. You can see an even greater level of visual detail in the environments we've created. And we've also updated the engine so it deals with features which Dirt didn't have. Nighttime racing, for example, or fields of up to 20 cars. Racing AI is something we have over a decade's worth of experience in doing here at Codemasters, and I think it's something we do really well. Every AI driver is aware of the whole track, and which bits of it they use is determined by the kind of driver they are. They genuinely race each other as well as the player, and they can make mistakes. From simple braking misjudgments to huge errors when overtaking. And it's this that makes the race experience so exciting. Hi, I'm here to tell you a little bit about what you can expect from Grid when it comes out this summer. For the content in Grid, we've taken a global approach. We've split our world into 3 distinct regions: Europe, the United States and Japan. Now, Europe's where we traditionally have our experience, and for us Europe is all about classic racing circuits and disciplines such as touring cars and open wheel. The United States is completely different. For us it's about big cities and big cars, And that's why you'll be able to race around street circuits in cities like Washington, San Francisco, Detroit, and Long Beach. Japan is completely different again. It has its motorsport roots and illegal street racing. And we've nodded to that with the inclusion of toge and drift, which is now a legitimate motorsport in its own right. Each of these regions has dramatically different cars to race and environments in which to race them, but they're all bound by a common emphasis of close, aggressive, exciting racing. Grid really is all about the race.
Alors, je m'appelle Felipe Ortiz, je conduis une Création et notre équipe s'appelle Création aussi. C'est un nom magique, Le Mans.
I was staggered at the realism of this game. I've just been around Le Mans, and it's every braking point, every reference point I have to go around the circuit is there.
Le sport automobile, c'est une question, on ne conduit pas à l'instinct, mais on conduit beaucoup au repère.
The responsiveness of the steering, even the cockpit layout is very similar. You've got all the buttons I press to talk to the team and change different maps and stuff on the steering wheel is the same. Every little kink. There was even the shops and restaurants that you have at Le Mans, and you do use them as reference points going down the straight. Before Le Mans this year, I could go and do 20 or 30 laps, and I get in the car at Le Mans, and it's going to be slightly more familiar to me because that's so lifelike.
Au début et à la fin de la course, on remarque le public parce qu'il y en a vraiment beaucoup et c'est impressionnant. Ça va quand même assez vite et on n'a pas vraiment le temps de regarder ailleurs que la route.